All right, welcome to another edition of our Beyond the Numbers interview series, where we talk to Valley leaders about what advice they would have for themselves if they could go back to when they were a staff or senior accountant and why they love accounting. Today, we're speaking with Jason Gaston, who is a consultant, former VP of Accounting and Finance at Rimkus Consulting Group. Welcome, Jason. Let's get started. Tell us, what advice would you have for yourself if you could go back to when you were a staff or senior accountant?
First, thank you for having me. I'm excited to do this, and I think it's a great program you put together here.
Thank you.
Thinking back to my early career, I started with Circle K convenience stores and as a fuel accountant, kind of a niche area. But I think it was super important to just ask as many questions and, put yourself in front of those people that have the answers. I was thinking more about this, and you can ask the same question to multiple people within the company and within different functions, because a lot of times there's different answers and they may have a different perspective. And sometimes you can come back to them with some of the information you got from other areas of the company and help them learn about what a certain process delivers on the other end of the company.
Right.
You're asking questions about the functions of your role or the operations of the company. But I think it's also important to notice things on their desk and ask them about their kids or their school, because that helps build their relationships. And there's a lot of times in my career where new to a company and just getting to know people has sort of softened the impression of the finance and accounting group to I'm thinking specifically of somebody who ran our director of maintenance for a trucking company that I was with, and had a bit of a rough relationship with the finance and accounting group. But over time and getting to know this individual, certainly became a better relationship, a working relationship where we could add value.
Right. That's a great point. Like, notice the stuff on their desk. I wouldn't even think about that, because do they have like a Cardinals team memorabilia or Chiefs or pictures of their family or whatever, and just to start the conversation even as you're young and starting out and getting to know people. So that's a good perspective.
Yeah, I'm not the most social, outgoing guy. I maybe leaned upon the desk decorations as far as conversation starters and everything else. That's it.
Especially because most accountants are more introverts than extroverts. And it might be harder today because more people are working remote. But that's a great piece of advice. I really like that. Yeah. Now, you got your degree in accounting and finance.
Correct.
And you started in industry.
Correct.
So you didn't, but you still are, you're a CPA, right?
I am not a CPA, no.
I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. Typically people think you need the public accounting and that you need the CPA, but you don't, do you?
You don't have to. I considered it in early in my career, and I always found that I wanted to spend that time learning more about the company, learning about doing more in my role rather than studying.
Right.
I think if I took a real break away from career, then I would probably consider it again as far as pursuing that path, as far as getting a CPA.
Right.
But no, I wouldn't say you need it. I think as long as you have a curious mind and you're trying to grow, whether that's a certification or just on your own, I think you can have a lot of success in the field.
Why do you love accounting, or what value has accounting added to you in your career?
I love accounting because in the more general roles within accounting, you can interact with all areas of the business. Whether it be a sales and marketing team that needs assistance with cost structure, pricing, or a HR team where you're evaluating the impact of PTO, a change in PTO policy, and the availability of people to do the jobs, right?
Right.
You get a good breadth of the business, and I'm sort of label myself as an Excel nerd and numbers nerd, but also very much interested in what drives the business. It gives you a lot of a wide scope.
Right.
And if you are competent in those things, you can bring a lot to the table. You can be well respected as far as this is what we think will happen. And people will, really appreciate that and really listen to you.
Right. Right. Well, in your first position, you really drilled down into like a niche, a specialty, right? With the fuel accounting. So you probably really, I mean, that was, well, I guess Circle K has retail with food and whatever, but the gas is the main part of their business, right?
At that time, I believe fuel was about 50% of their revenue, but very low margin in relation to the rest of the business.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're right. It was a very niche role.
Right.
And knowing that I was curious about all the other areas of the business. I sort of grew out of that role into a more general GL accountant type position.
Right.
And further leverage that to work into a regional office within Circle K. And that was also sort of gravitating to maybe less of an accounting role and more of a FP&A role.
Right.
But yeah, it's so getting your foot in the door at a large company that has other opportunities, I would say is a very good opportunity to explore. And early on, you may not know exactly what you like and what you want to do, but if you can get in somewhere where there's a variety of opportunities and again build your brand in a sense as a accountant, and it'll open doors to go all kinds of different places.
Okay. That's right, because you did take a couple of turns. You ventured out from accounting to go into FP&A. So I don't know if it was at Circle K, but then you can really drill down on the margins like that you get on the donuts then versus the margins that you get on the gas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, much more margin on donuts.
Soda and all the candy,
Mhm.
and stuff. So, all right. So, any last words of wisdom that you have for people thinking about going into accounting, needing encouragement? Any last pieces of advice?
People thinking about accounting, to your point, it might get a bad rap in a sense, but it sort of is what you make it. I mean, you can be the outgoing person in accounting. I mean, you'll be maybe there are less of them, but it's valuable in the accounting world. You need those relationships still. I was thinking about our call today and thinking about some of the things that I really enjoy, and it's some of it is digging into data and building meaningful reports and information out of that. And it's a bit of a puzzle sometimes. It's problem solving, and it's and those are things that are fun on top of building the relationships and having that social component.
Right.
So I was also thinking about be patient. It may not be your existing role. I didn't necessarily dream to be a fuel accountant initially, but learn from those things. There's value in all these roles. I've jumped from retail to automotive to a consulting services company, and different industries. They have their own jargon and stuff, but there's a lot of things that do bridge between industries, and people in that industry may not think about something like same store sales from my Circle K days, and it can certainly be valuable in other areas.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, we will put a full link to Jason's bio in the notes below. We appreciate your time today, Jason, and everyone stay tuned for our next episode of Beyond the Numbers, where we talk to another Valley leader about why they love accounting and the advice they would have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason.